Neopian lore, what we got in store. Talking about the things that we love and adore. We're all over 20, right? We say indoors. And play this game. And love this game. Sometimes hate this game. But let's all talk about Neopian lore. Yeah! Woohoo!
Welcome to episode 23 of Neopian Lore. Today, we will be talking about the dastardly vampire, Count Von Rue. I'll try to be as accurate as possible and attempt to pronounce all names correctly, but keep in mind, this world is fictional and this is all just for fun. I'm your host, Krista Poyman. Now let's cozy up to some nostalgia. Count Von Rue is one of the nastier denizens of Neopia. Born in 200 BN, which was a very long time ago, this vampire bloomaroo was scorned from society for his evil ways. Cast out and alone, he wandered Neopia for years, traveling only by night, until he came upon a small uninhabited island, an island that was soon to be known as Rue Island. The Count came across an old, decaying castle to the north of the island and decided that this would be his new home. Tired of his travels, he descended to the warm, familiar darkness of the basement and slept. For 200 years he slept, and he has only recently awakened. What terror this ancient demon has in store for Neopia, only time can tell. Count Von Rue is an orange bloomaroo with a pinkish red nose, glowing red eyes, slicked back black hair with a widow's peak, and of course, sharp fangs. He wears a black cape with red lining and has a red jewel pinned to the collar. Von is a German title used for nobility, as well as the term count, suggesting our vampire could have royal roots. It could also be a self-proclaimed title, as he might have wanted to fit in with other popular vampires such as Count Dracula, Count Orlok, known as Nosferatu, or Sesame Street's vampire, the Count. Fun fact, vampires counting things isn't just a cheeky play on words. In European folklore, it is said that vampires have an incessant need to count seeds, rice, or holes in a fishing net. So, need to get away from a vampire? Just throw a handful of rice to keep them occupied. Von Rue even claimed during Better Than You that he would make a wonderful treasurer due to the superstition around his title. Quote, "Of course I'm qualified to be the king's treasurer. I'm a count, am I not? But on a more serious note, King Rue would do well to hire me. Who better to keep track of his treasury than one whom all good little bloomaroos fear? Mwahahahaha." In our own world, vampires were originally a way to explain the unexplainable, particularly with deaths of a healthy person that suddenly got sick. Either they were a vampire or attacked by one. We now know about wasting diseases such as anemia or muscular sclerosis, sensitivity to the sun like dermatitis, or memory loss such as dementia. Over time, with the evolution of science, vampires shifted from fact to folklore. One has to wonder how Count Von Rue turned. He wasn't always a vampire, and we even have a book to prove so, called The History of Count Von Rue. Description: in this book are tales from back when Von Rue wasn't a vampire. So who or what turned him? What was his life beforehand? Oh, I wish I could read it. I had my Exquitalk read a copy, and all she said was, "Wow, thank you so much. I love reading." I don't care if you like reading, just tell me what's in the book. Just kidding, reading is awesome. He supposedly has a long lineage as there is a Von Rue ring. Quote, "This legendary ring protects the Von Rue family." But alas, no other canon information is currently available. I can't help but wonder if Count Von Rue and King Rue are related. They do have the same last name, though I'm sure Rue is a common surname for bloomaroos. But they are both of the court and both host games of chance. How cool would it be if they were distant cousins? Count Von Rue is best known for his game Deadly Dice, which can be found at the edge of Rue Island. During the majority of the day, you'll see this. The Count is sleeping. You think it unwise to disturb him. But picture this. The carnival music of Rue Island fills your ears. Your Neopet grabs you by the hand. One more game, please? Oh, how can you say no to that cute face? Okay, you say. How about Diceroo? You love that one. But it's late and dark, and you take a left instead of a right. When you enter what you believe to be the Diceroo building, you see in the center of the room a stone coffin, a bat chiseled on the front. It creaks open. You should not have disturbed me. From midnight to 1 a.m. Neopian Standard Time, Count Von Rue is awake and wishing to play a game of deadly dice. The only requirement is that your active pet is level 2 or higher. You can even play this devilish game on your side accounts, if you dare. Both you and the Count roll a 6-sided die, but instead of dots, they are covered in skulls. What's at stake are your pet's levels. Roll higher than Rue, your pet gains a level. Lose, your pet loses 1. If you tie, you roll again and wager another level. Tie again, another. Though you cannot lose more levels than your pet has, fortunately. Tie with Rue and win at least 2 levels, you gain the avatar Count Von Rue's Deadly Dice. Be careful though, for if you play again, tie, and lose, it disappears. On Halloween, Von Rue is awake all day to play Deadly Dice. I don't think he sleeps the other 23 hours of the day just waiting to play Deadly Dice. No, I'm sure his coffin is a decked-out pad with a huge library, game room, and has a secret passageway so his friends can come over. And anyways, he also needs to be awake to feed on innocent Neopians. As his Gallery of Evil page says, living in the dark reaches of the haunted woods, a place so dark that no sunlight at all reaches through the trees, Count Von Rue is a very solitary creature. Well, until he gets hungry. Von Rue has been known to glide through the night sky to nearby villages in search of a tasty snack. Always make sure your window is closed at night, because if you leave it open, you may not be there in the morning. So, I know, we've got a discrepancy here. The Haunted Woods? I thought you said he was cast out and moved to Rue Island. Well, he's a vampire, so he can shapeshift into a bat. Maybe he just flies over there to feed. Or he has another place to stay. Hey, I'm also convinced Elif Thade and him are friends, as when you fight Von Rue in the Battle Dome, he drops a few Elif Thade items. Maybe Von Rue uses a guest room in Thade's castle. And we also don't know which land he was cast out from. I have trouble believing it was the Haunted Woods. Surely he would be welcomed with open arms there, celebrated even. So maybe he was banished from Bright Vale or Neopia Central or something. We just don't know. By the way, his bat form is a hilarious sight. It's literally his Bloomaroo head on a tiny bat body. Now, just because Count Von Rue bites you doesn't necessarily mean that you will transform, evident from his random event. Count Von Rue appears and bites, insert pet name here, on the neck. Luckily, your pet won't turn, but instead will take 1 to 3 hit points of damage. But hey, as a consolation prize, you can now fight him in the Battle Dome. In many vampire stories, victims only turn if after they are bitten, they drink the blood of the vampire that bit them. Death only occurs if the vampire drinks too much of your blood and you die of blood loss. So the big question is, has Count Von Rue turned anyone else into a vampire? He is the only named vampire on the site. There is Hubert Knox, but he is a warlock, not a vampire despite his appearance. And Boris from the Meridel plot role plays as the vampire Count Boris in honor of Von Rue, but he isn't actually one. Oh, Boris is so precious. Potentially, the shopkeeper at Spooky Pet Pets is a true vampire, but it's a Psy Bunny painted Halloween. Do pets and pet pets actually turn into a vampire when painted, or is it just a costume? Is vampirism in Neopia caused solely by being painted instead of bitten? Some Halloween paints are clearly costumes. The Halloween Aisha is definitely just wearing a devil costume. Same with the Halloween Flotsam. It's wearing a white sheet to look like a ghost. But the Halloween Loop, most commonly referred to as a wereloop, hard to argue that it isn't a full transformation, especially if you look at the unconverted design. Same with the Halloween Uni, known as the Night Steed. They transform into another creature entirely when painted. Vampire-inspired Halloween pets are as follows: Bloomaroo, who looks just like Count Von Roo, Cybunny, Galert, Grarl, Jetsam, Terry, Tuscanini, and Exquitok. There are a few other pets with fangs, Kugra, Koi, and Chambi, but I would argue they resemble other mythological creatures. So you have a vampire pet. Well, you need a matching vampire pet. Well, you're in luck. You can choose between a Halloween Huggy, Pinklet, Buzzer, Snow Bunny, Slorg, Teamite, Meepit, and Nuck. Name a more perfect duo than the Halloween Cybunny and the Halloween Snow Bunny. I dare you. There is also the rare pet Bat Boy, who looks like a mini Dracula. Not at all animal-like, but humanoid, which is a little weird for Neopia. Another pet Baby Vampire was retired, who looked fairly similar to Bat Boy, and was converted to a Snorlkin. Rest in peace, Baby Vampire. Now there is a TCG card called Touch of Rue from the Tale of Woe set, with an Usul painfully transforming into a vampire, with fangs, bloodshot eyes, and disheveled hair. So we have at least one confirmed transformation. And if you look at the McDonald's promo card, Count Von Roo, we see him hovering over the bed of a sleeping Usul who looks very similar to the one in the transformation card. And I have a theory. Get ready for this. I think that Usul looks a lot like sweet, innocent Gilly, the protagonist from the Tale of Woe plot and the game The Castle of Eliv Thade. I could see Von Roo wanting to turn her because of the sinister irony, or doing a favor for his friend Eliv Thade. And we haven't seen Gilly since the plot, so who's to say she hasn't turned into a vampire? I can't help but feel sorry for vampires. They need to feed on blood to survive. I doubt walking up to somebody on the street asking, "Hey, can I have some of your blood?" would go over too well. Maybe the Neo Hospital and Von Roo can make some sort of agreement and host a community blood drive. Von Roo did hatch a scheme during the 2014 April Fool's joke. Dr. Death claimed to be retiring, and Von Roo put his name forward for the position. Quote, "It is with no small degree of satisfaction that I put my name forward for the position of Pounder Rector. I have studied prison colonies throughout the centuries. Long nights make for good reading, and I believe the key to the discipline problem is to remove excess sanguine humor in the system. Quite simply, a vampire is ideal for the job." Think about it. He would have an unlimited supply of blood working at the pound. I do love that he references the outdated medical practice of the Four Humors. Who would have thunk that draining bile or blood from someone who is sick doesn't cure them and could actively kill them? Outdated medicine is wild, man. And can you believe it was only debunked in the 1850s? That's not that long ago. As said before, you can battle Count Von Roo after getting his random event. His starting HPs are 90, 135, and 180. Ironically, he does not have the ability Drain Life, but he does release his Von Spider to scare you. It's a precious grumpy spider dressed as its master in a jar, and I adore him. My favorite quote you see when fighting him is, Count Von Roo holds a finger up and says, "Shh, you obey." A hilarious mental image. Von Roo has made several cameos around the site. In NeoQuest 2, during the Haunted Woods chapter, someone had cast a spell to keep the sun permanently up in the sky, and he was attempting a counterspell. He is a vampire after all, and they notoriously hate the sun. During the Advent calendar, there was a video of 3 Neopets visiting Von Roo to celebrate the new year. And in the spirit of the holidays, Von Roo smiles, and the video fades to black. Though we're not sure if it was because of the joyous company or if because a free meal just came to his doorstep. And in 2004 on Garlic Day, yes, that apparently is a holiday, An image was released of Von Roo fleeing from a garlic Kiko and Jub Jub, which there are a few historic reasons for why vampires don't like garlic. Garlic is an antibiotic due to the active compound allicin and is effective against bacteria. Because of this, combined with the fact some thought vampirism was a blood disorder, people would carry it around and consume it. Garlic is also a natural insect repellent and is specifically used against the blood-sucking mosquitoes. Sadly, it won't work if you just eat garlic. You have to spray yourself with a garlic concentrate, which smells not so pleasant. So you can repel mosquitoes and your friends! Yay! Speaking of vampire superstitions, what about Von Roo's reflection? There is an item called the Von Roo mirror, which pictures a mirror taped with the doodle of Von Roo's face on it. Oh, so sad. This trope is actually much newer for vampires, first appearing in Bram Stoker's Dracula, but the idea stems from the fact that mirrors used to be backed with silver. Silver was used to repel evil spirits because of its antimicrobial properties. Because of this, many medical devices are still plated in silver today. Von Roo's last major appearance was in the Neopedia entry for the app Ghoul Catchers. He stole a diary that contained a spell to, quote, send all of Neopia's vampires screaming back to where they came from. Supposedly, he still has the diary, or maybe he destroyed it. I doubt he would ever want that secret getting out. So do be careful if you decide to wander around late in the evening. You never know what might be out there, ready to strike. Well, that's all for this episode of Neopian Lore. All characters and licensing belong to Neopets.com. Music was created by me, Krista. Today's composition is called Welcome to the Haunted Woods. I hope you have a spooky day in Neopia.